Hey everyone, Flo from OFTWOLANDS here, and today we're going to talk about the Blackmagic Ursa Cine 17K 65 again, but this time I'm going to compare it to the Pyxis 6K. Since I've started to share content using the Ursa 17K, one of the most popular questions I received is which one do you prefer or which one would you choose between it and the Pyxis. So I thought I would make this video to share who I think these cameras are for. I'm going to focus on the similarities, the differences, the pros of each of these cameras, and share my thoughts on which one I think is best depending on the project and production size. Keep in mind that a lot of the pros of the 17K also apply to the Cine 12K LF, and the same goes for the Pyxis 6K and the new Pyxis 12K, as they respectively share the same bodies. And as always, before I start, don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this one, and let's get into it. This video is sponsored by Motion Array. The Pyxis 6K has been my main camera for more than 6 months now, and I've used it for all sorts of content such as documentaries, landscape and outdoor, and also personal. Before the Pyxis, the Cinema Camera 6K and the 6K Pro had been my main cameras for a few years. I actually really enjoy the pocket shape, as it is a very versatile format with a beautiful image, and made it an easy choice for me as a solo shooter, especially outdoors. With the release of the Cinema Camera 6K, we got the new full-frame sensor, which I love. Then the Pyxis was announced, the same amazing sensor and image, but in a more versatile, rugged and riggable box-shaped body. As soon as I saw it, I knew that this would be my main documentary camera, or the one that I would use for bigger projects or when I need to rig things up, and it's been great so far. The pocket line is amazing, of course, especially for run and gun and outdoor content, but can be sometimes limited for bigger productions and complex rigs. Now, as you probably know, a couple of months ago I got the incredible opportunity to work on the launch of the new Ursa Cine 17K 65. This is an entirely different camera and of course sensor. This is hands down the craziest camera I've ever used. I had used the previous Ursa Mini Pros, but I hadn't used the new 12K LF yet. So essentially I went from the Pyxis all the way to the 17K. So in this video I want to compare the two because they are the most recent cameras that I have used, and I think that now that the lineup also includes the new Pyxis 12K, it makes for interesting and varied choices when it comes to Blackmagic cameras. Also, if you're interested in any accessories or my rigs, I will link them in the description below. Now let's jump into the comparison. The first similarity is that they both offer amazing features, image and specs for their respective prices. Both cameras offer a wide variety of resolutions, aspect ratios, compression options, and they record in B-RAW. They can also use the same accessories, such as the EVF, the top handle, and of course the monitor. Which means that even though these cameras are quite different, they can also be used together very easily. The menu system is also very similar and super easy to use. One other thing that they have in common is the lack of internal NDs. And finally, they also feature some of the same buttons for functions and shortcuts, such as iris, focus, or high frame rate. But of course, these cameras have more differences than similarities. Now let's look at the differences. The first major difference is of course the sensor. The Ursa Cine 65, as the name suggests, features a massive, large format 17K sensor. Open gate, this is 17520 by 8040, which is absolutely insane. This gives you a 2.2:1 aspect ratio. The Pyxis, on the other hand, has a 6K full-frame sensor, which is still very impressive, of course. To give you an idea of the size difference between the two sensors, the full-frame sensor on the Pyxis is 36mm by 24, and the large format sensor in the 17K is 51 by 24, and is also RGBW. The 17K sensor brings another difference, the dynamic range. You have 16 stops, whereas the Pyxis has 13 stops. The second major difference is the shape and overall design. The Ursa Cine 17K is a beast. It is a proper cinema camera and pretty much the flagship model for Blackmagic. From the outside, you have a camera that looks like the previous Ursa lineup, with a similar shape, but it is much bigger and heavier too. It also features one monitor on either side of the body, one that tilts and can flip out, and another assist one that is fixed. Now the Pyxis has a box shape and is of course much lighter and smaller. It is a more streamlined and simple camera. The Pyxis has a single 4-inch screen on the side that is fixed. Here are the physical differences between the two cameras. Then there are also two significant points of difference. The first one is the media. The Ursa 17K features an internal 8TB module, whilst the Pyxis has two CF Express slots. The next one is the mount options. The 17K offers PL, LPL, locking EF, and Hasselblad mounts. The Pyxis comes in three different mounts, with L, PL, and locking EF. The frame rates are also very different between the two cameras. The 17K has a lot of different options and can shoot open gate in 17K at 60 FPS and up to 100 FPS in 8K. Whereas the Pyxis maxes out at 36 FPS open gate. The Pyxis can record at up to 46 FPS in 6K 16:9, but you have to crop in on a sensor. If you shoot 16:9 in 8K on the Ursa 17K, you can go up to 120 FPS. The next difference is the connections. With the 17K 65, you have all the connections you can pretty much think of, such as SDI, 10G Ethernet, full XLRs, Fisher, Limo, 24 DC power input, and more. The Pyxis still features a lot, such as SDI and Ethernet, but offers less, of course, due to the size and price. In terms of audio, the 17K has two full-size XLR inputs, but the Pyxis only has one mini XLR. Then we have the battery type. The Pyxis uses a BPU system, and the Ursa Cine 17K can use B-mount, but you can also get a gold or V-lock plate. And finally, the price. The Ursa Cine 17K starts at 24,195 with tariffs, or 21,375 euros. And the Pyxis is 32.95 USD or 29.25 euros. Now let's look at the pros of each cameras, but before that, here's a quick word about today's sponsor, Motion Array. Motion Array is an all-in-one platform for creators where you can find pretty much everything you need to create videos. From video templates, presets, motion graphics, royalty-free music, sound effects, and they even now have a voiceover feature. As always, I wouldn't tell you guys to use something if I didn't use it myself. If you know me, I'm very particular with the sponsors on this channel. I don't have many, and I want to make sure that every time I share or push something, it is something that can be genuinely beneficial for myself and could be for you as well. I have started using Motion Array a few years ago, and since then most of the titles and graphics that you have seen in my videos are from Motion Array. I don't really have the skills all the time to create those, so for me it is a way to add value and save time. For the type of work that I do here on YouTube, I mostly rely on callouts or minimalist animations and templates to give specific information about lenses or cameras, for example. And of course, all of the main titles in my videos as well as the animated backgrounds are from Motion Array. Even my subscribe button is actually from there. It's a little thing like this that I think really gives something extra for the viewer and make the whole experience more interactive and engaging. You have access to over 2 million creative assets, and it's super easy to use and nicely laid out. You also have the choice of a monthly or yearly subscription based on your needs. And of course, feel free to use the link in the description to check out Motion Array. First, let's look at the pros of the Ursa Cine 17K 65. To me, the biggest advantage of the Ursa 65 is its versatility and accessibility. I've said it before, but it brings 65mm or large format and extreme resolution to more people and not just Hollywood-style projects. This camera is accessible for regular filmmaking and not just high-end cinema. Next is of course that sensor and resolution. There is something very special about this new sensor, and I find it hard to describe why or how, but it creates such a detailed and immersive image. Having a 17K sensor means you have so many possibilities in terms of reframing, but you're also able to get a very clean 8K and even 4K file. Being a large format sensor means you can also get that incredible depth and that wider field of view. The resolution plays an important part, of course, but the depth is something that makes a lot of difference and really creates a unique image. The dynamic range is also something that is incredibly impressive with this camera. Having been used to 13 stops of dynamic range, which is already useful for many years, having 16 on a 17K was a massive jump for me. Even when facing very harsh light, I don't remember clipping, and for some scenes we had super high contrast and we were able to retain a lot of detail and information. For someone like me that shoots a lot outdoors or with natural and available light, this is something very important and useful. The ability to also shoot 8K and 4K using the full sensor and without a crop is great and makes the camera very flexible. You don't need to shoot 17K. Slow motion is also on my list of pros. 8K 100 is insane. Having shot with the Pyxis and Cinema Camera 6K for quite a bit now, it felt very refreshing and fun to use slow motion again. And even 17K 60 was also very nice to use. Now from a design point of view, there are quite a few pros as well. The internal 8TB module is definitely one. It is very handy and extremely fast. Not having to worry about media or bringing extra cards is really nice. One less thing to worry about on set. The assist screen is also something that I love about the 17K. It was very helpful for myself of course, but also when having a first AC like we had in Iceland. The connections are also a big plus. This camera can be used for pretty much any shooting environments or sets with any sorts of accessories. The two XLR inputs, for example, make it a solid choice for documentary work and talking heads. Also, with the 17K you can use multiple accessories at the same time, such as the EVF and monitor. Another big pro for me with the Ursa 65 is that if you happen to own it, you could create more opportunities as brands and productions would likely be very interested in filming with a camera like this. Being able to own a digital large format IMAX style camera is something that is simply not possible with any other cameras on the market at the moment. And finally, this camera is exciting and fun. I love cameras and tech in general, and with the crazy resolutions and high frame rates and a dynamic range this camera can offer, it makes me want to use it even more and try new things. I just want to go around the world and capture everything in large format. I think recently all the cameras have caught up in terms of resolutions and dynamic range and frame rates, but when you add 17K large format into the mix, you create something new and exciting. To me, the biggest advantage of the Pyxis is its form factor and overall design. It makes this camera very easy to rig and customize to your own liking or needs, and if you add a cage, you can easily take things even further. The weight and density of the Pyxis makes it also a great handheld camera, as it is heavy enough to get rid of micro jitters, but also light enough to shoot for long periods of time without any rigging or help such as an easy rig. This is a type of camera that you can use bare bones or as is, just with a top or side handle, but also fully rigged up. I've used it with both minimal rigs handheld or on tripods, or also fully rigged up for documentary work, and each time it was a great experience. Its size and weight also makes the Pyxis a much easier camera to travel with, which can be a huge advantage. L-mount is also a plus for me, first because it allows me to try on so many new lenses, but it also keeps the camera quite small when you use native lenses, and also it doesn't stop me from using all of my usual glass, so it's a win-win. The BPU system. I really enjoy the BPU style batteries. They last for a very long time and are quite small and light, especially when you compare to the B mount I use with the 17K. Obviously there's a difference in power, but still. And lastly, the price. For $32.95 currently, what you get is pretty ridiculous. These days we get absolutely spoiled when it comes to camera gear. For just over $3,000 you get a full frame 6K camera that shoots RAW, open gate with anamorphic options, a built-in 4-inch 1500 nit screen, and a bunch of exposure and focus tools. Not to mention the color science and compression options. I think the choice between the Ursa 17K and the Pyxis depends as always on your style of shooting and the type of work that you do. While both cameras can pretty much shoot any types of projects, they are still very different. To me, the Pyxis is aimed at solo shooters and smaller productions. You can either use it in a very minimal way and keep things very small and light, but you can also go crazy and rig it up. The Ursa 17K is a much bigger and heavier camera to start with. And whilst you can definitely use it as a solo shooter, as I did a few times, it is aimed at larger productions with bigger crews and more accessories and rigging involved. When comparing the two, to me the Pyxis is better suited to run and gun, outdoor, travel, and even personal content. While the 17K can be used for everything from feature to documentary, wildlife to commercial, it can be scaled down or go to the highest Hollywood level if you needed to. There's pretty much no limits to what you can do with a 17K 65. The image is insane and all the different options make for a ridiculously powerful camera that is at the same time super easy to use and operate. The gear that you already own can also influence the purchase as they both have different battery types and mounts. I just don't think there's a right answer, it just depends on what you do and need and what you have already invested or the clients that you're trying to get. I can definitely see the two being used together as well, with the 17K as the A cam and the Pyxis as a B cam, especially since you can share the same accessories. I think that certain aspects like slow motion and dynamic range could also be deciding factors when it comes to picking one or the other. Now if you add the Pyxis 12K into the mix, then we bridge the gap a little more and it makes things even more interesting. I really hope to get my hands on this one soon. The Ursa 17K 65 does have one thing that cannot be matched of course, and that is that incredible large format sensor. It really is something that no other camera in a Blackmagic lineup, and pretty much in any other brand too, can match. That's it for me for today, guys. Hope this was helpful to you. Again, I will keep sharing content from the 17K, and I will try to get my hands ASAP on a Pyxis 12K as well. As always, don't forget to subscribe and let me know in the comments if you need to know anything else. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Also, feel free to check out my 2 ebooks, Freelance Documentary Filmmaking and Travel Cinematography, where you can find a streamlined but comprehensive overview from pre-production all the way to marketing, built on years of my own experience shooting short documentaries and travel videos around the world. And if you are interested, I'm also doing filmmaking mentoring sessions when you can ask me anything about a wide variety of topics.